All right, man, it's the elephant in the room. I asked you this last week, 16 plays after the fumble. Obviously, you don't want to fumble, and especially in consecutive games. But then 20 plays on the sideline. I mean, this time, did you feel like you got benched?
I would say so. I mean, obviously, like I said last week, I mean, it can't happen. But, I mean, when it happens and then you're out for that long, it's just kind of like you got to feel that way. I mean, but I was just waiting my chance to go back in the game and didn't really come to the third quarter. So.
Well, you might not have seen this on TV, but we saw this in the press box. You tried to come on the field a time or two. I think Carlos Hyde tried to come off the field a time or two. Were those just packages, or were you being told stay on the sideline?
No, I think Carlos wanted a breather, I think. And then I was going to run out on the field, and then they just said, no. Like, I think they said, never mind. He just ended up staying in there. But I'm not sure what's going on there. So
I'm going to ask this question, and you can answer it however you want, as best you can. You seem like such a humble, nice young man. There seems to be some sort of disconnect, though, here with the coaches and you, and I'm not sure exactly why. For example, you're in the game at the end of the game yesterday, but if you're beat up, that makes no sense for you to be in the game at the end of the game. The outcome has already been decided. So I guess, why are you in the game at the end of the game? And I know as a player, you just go in when you're told to go in. So, but I don't understand why there is, and Urban Meyer said today that, that probably wasn't a good idea looking back. I don't understand where there seems to be some sort of disconnect with you and the coaches. Do you feel that way, I guess?
At that point, towards the end of the game, I wasn't even looking at the clock.
Yeah.
I mean, those last 3 or 2 runs that I had.
Yeah.
I think on the last run, I got up and started walking back to the huddle because I wasn't sure how much time was on the clock, and I looked at the clock and it was 0-0, and at the end of the game I was like, oh, I mean, I wasn't really paying attention that much. So, I mean, I knew the game was over by that point, but I mean, probably should have been just resting. I mean, I'm not sure what the point of that was, but
yeah, I know we're putting you in a tough spot. It's going to be a little uncomfortable, but people have to be talking about this inside the building. We're all talking about it. Is the topic in Jacksonville. I just showed you the stats, and we'll show it to you in a little bit later on again. But I mean, you have 80 less carries this year through 12 games. You're averaging 4.9 yards a touch. I mean, you have got to be frustrated with give me the ball. I mean, every running back wants the ball. Every receiver wants the ball. I mean, is this tough right now for you?
I would say, I mean, I know whenever I get the ball in my hands, I feel like I'm very productive with it. So, I mean, I'm not one to go beg for the ball. I mean, I'm going to do whatever play is called, I'm going to do it, and the ball comes to me, it comes to me. If it doesn't, it doesn't. But, I mean, also, I mean, I'm going to work and do my job first before worrying about that kind of stuff. So I wouldn't say it's frustrating, but I know that I feel like I should deserve the ball more.
You can write off a few less carries because of the injuries, some of the injuries that you've
one
suffered.
Game. Yeah.
But it again, I go back to this disconnect. I is struggling. You're averaging 4.9 yards a carry, and yet you're not on the field for it just doesn't make sense to me, the fan. Does it make sense to you, the player?
I'm not sure. I mean,
I know I'm putting you in a bad spot.
No, I mean, it's really. I mean, obviously it's a mistake, but I mean, I wouldn't. If a mistake happens, I wouldn't figure, be out the rest of the quarter,
Right,
But
right.
I mean, maybe next time I just shouldn't fumble then. So that's what I'm going forward with, and not trying to fumble anymore. So
fair enough.
We're going to ask you about the fumble in just a moment too, but let's listen to Urban Meyer here over the last couple of days on the running back situation.
James is as good a guy, tough a guy, a team player as you got that I've ever been around. And your heart bleeds for the guy just, because he's not able to do what he does well. And he hasn't been that way since Seattle. And he's not able to practice, but he wants to play, and he's still a very good player.
All right, so obviously there's fumbles. Listen, to other teams, you go to the bench if you fumble. I mean, you have done such a good job of that, but the last 2 games you fumbled the football, and is your confidence shaken at all when you fumble 2 games in a row?
No, I mean, yesterday when I fumbled, I mean, I was ready to go back out there, and then obviously the rest of the game I didn't have a problem. So, I mean, it was just more about being more aware and just having the ball up and tight when going through traffic, and on that fumble, I mean, he kind of grabbed me while the ball was low, so it was easier to get it out. So.
Action Sports Jax Primetime.
Saturday at 10:30 on Fox 30.